is there a reason why somebody should focus on a specific segment, or if your budget allows, whatever is a good car in that segment should be where you should start?
First and foremost, for a first-time car buyer, I'm assuming you're also a newer driver.
Yeah.
Right? In which case, a smaller car is a good call. I'm not saying the smallest. I'm saying a smaller car. So, you know, the sub 4 meter hatches or SUVs and stuff like that, that's a good size. It's also a good cost, because if something were to go wrong while you're driving, like in terms of, you know, getting the typical stuff like fender benders, scraping, this and that, it's easier, it's less hassle, it's less of an expense.
Okay.
So it's good to have a car on which you can afford to, जैसे वो कहते हैं ना, हाथ साफ करना, right?
Yeah.
So a smaller vehicle is easier from that standpoint, right? It's easier on your wallet to make those repairs when you need to, which is why it's attractive for newer car buyers, first time drivers, to get the smallest thing that they can get, right? Because automatically it means that I don't have to worry about parking. It'll be easier for me to drive. It'll be easier for me to maintain. It'll be easier for me to repair, right? Now the good thing is, or the bad thing in a way, is that the small cars themselves are so expensive. Like we've been talking about the Quid and the Alto, saying that they cost about 6-7 lakh rupees. That's not a small sum of money. And at the same time, if you think about it in EMI terms, you can easily step up to a Baleno, for instance. And Baleno has been one of my pivot cars, right? So that's something that we're going to talk about, is pivot cars. Cars that for us stand out and do a lot of things well, and therefore can be a fit for many people for different kinds of needs. So the Baleno is a great pivot car, right? For I think for a lot of people, it makes for a great first car today. Right? Because it doesn't have to be like with a smaller car, you'd probably feel in a couple of years that I wish I'd gone bigger, or I wish I had more power.
Sure.
I wish it was more polished, you know, all those kind of things. Whereas with the Baleno or the i20, or let's say any of the SUVs in that space, similar, right? You would look at that, find that there's enough practicality for you to use it for yourself, for your family, for short drives, for long drives. So in that sense, when buying a first car, don't just confine yourself by saying, I want to stick to a small budget, right? Get the right budget.
Okay.
If it means stretching a bit, do that. What you should stretch for are the essentials of a good car, right? And what those essentials are may differ from me to you, but I think there is a basic set that you should be looking for.
We'll talk about the basic set.
Yeah.
Let's put a number to this. So you're saying Alto Quid can be your starter car, but ideally you should stretch a little.
Right.
What would be the budget for that stretch?
Let's say if you're looking at about 7 lakhs, that's a good starting point. I think you have some good options there of small cars. Up to 10 lakhs. I think 10 lakhs, 10, 11 lakhs, you'll get lots of options, which are good first-time cars and which will be good for years to come. Right? So like the Baleno, again, as an example, is there in that space. You will also get the sub 4 meter SUVs. If you're really tight on the budget, like, you know, we had the Kiger, the Magnite, which are really affordable, but good basics of the cars, not very polished or very sophisticated, but in terms of space, in terms of, you know, the size that they offer, the features that they have, there's a lot of car that you're getting for that price.
Right.
So you have a lot of options actually to choose from.
Yeah, and I'd like to talk about headroom a little bit more. And headroom being the space to grow into as your experience with the vehicle grows. It's a very critical part of new purchases, because this is the one thing that there is no experience that you've already gained on this front. When you're buying your fifth car, you know, you're 10 or 14 years into car ownership and you're buying your Xth vehicle. Now you have a sense of how the pattern works. Where there's the excitement of the new vehicle. Then there's the phase where you live with it. Then you'll make small changes to how you use it and what it is in the car. And then you'll be like, now I know what this car does well. And then you'll come to the point where there's a little bit of dissatisfaction, saying, okay, and now I know that I often carry 5 people. So I shouldn't have bought a 5-seater, I should have got a 7-seater. You're not upset with the current car. Your requirement set is changing, and which will eventually drive you to buy the next vehicle, which will have these attributes that you think are missing from your current car. If you undercommit on your first car, then you'll run out of headroom faster. For example, if you were to say, I just need an Alto, I'll just get an Alto. Yeah, okay, you'll have a great time. Maybe a year and a half from there, 2 years from there, you'll be like, I wish I'd bought a car that was slightly more powerful or slightly more spacious or had slightly more equipment or whatever it is. That's why he's saying if you stretch early, that car will have staying power for a longer duration. So the extra 2 lakhs you paid will not hurt so much. Right? Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hang on a second. If you think that something felt a bit missing over there, that's because
It probably was. This is a small clip from a much larger conversation which you can find on the Motoring channel. So head on over.